welcome to Doors and Corners, a sci-fi and fantasy film commentary podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm Zach. And every Friday we sit down and watch a science fiction or fantasy film and give our 2 cents on its quality, production, story, and trivia.
We watch the film together, but without sounds or visuals provided to avoid copyright issues. But if you do have access, we encourage you to join us and follow along.
Here, we like to keep things casual, and there may be discussions of spoilers or sensitive materials or language. But we do try and keep things clean and family-friendly. Ultimately, the goal of this podcast is to create the experience of us all sitting down and watching this movie together.
So get ready to hit that play button, because we're about to get started.
Damn Doors and Corners, I mean, that's where they get you.
Welcome back to Doors and Corners. I'm Brian.
I am Zach.
And we are jumping right back into part 2 of The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers Extended Edition. That's a mouthful.
Right? There are some titles out there that are just absolutely insane mouthfuls, especially anime video games. But
Yes.
The closest we have to it, Lord of the Rings. And in this particular case, we're picking up halfway through. If you have the extended edition on the old DVDs, this is exactly where it broke. And even though it seems like, oh, we're not even halfway through this thing, you still have 25 minutes of credits. So
Yes.
we're just about the same 1 hour and 45-minute movie each time. So this particular one is picking up pretty much right at like 1 hour, 46 minutes, and 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Almost exactly. And the opening scene being the Rohan walking across a cresting hill with a beautiful mountainous vista behind them.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, we are about to start hearing Gimli talk about dwarvish women, which is just a great little bit of dialogue. So, yeah, we if anybody is interested in our kind of opening thoughts on this movie as a whole, please go back and listen to the first half. I don't know what you're doing here with the second half. You haven't watched that, but we are not going to rehash all of that. We're just going to jump right in. We're just super excited about finishing this up. You have any opening insight, or we just jump in, Zach?
We're gonna jump in. Are you ready?
We're gonna jump in. All right. So again, like Zach said, an hour and 46 and 30 seconds. We're gonna hit play in 3, 2, 1, go.
Jumping right into the dwarven women.
Yep.
Wait a second.
You don't see many dwarf women. Now this, okay, I do not want to bring this up very often, but this is always one of those scenes where I thought of this when I saw Rings of Power, and I'm like, all right, they really do look like very feminine dwarves to me, and I feel like they should have been a little more, a little less feminine, according to this description.
A little more rugged.
A little more rugged, because what's her name in Rings of Power? The main
the Black Dwarf lady?
Yeah.
The Black Dwarf lady.
Wow.
I don't care enough about the show to memorize the names of the characters they've made up. I'm sorry, I can't.
I remember the first time I saw her, I'm like, and she's a beautiful woman, but it's just like she's too pretty to be a dwarf woman. Sorry. They made her too feminine. She should have been a little more rugged.
Dude, did you ever play the Dragon Age games?
I played the first 2.
Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age 2, Dragon Age Inquisition.
I played a tiny bit of Inquisition.
So when I was going through a particularly rough time in my life, I played something around 135 hours of Dragon Age Inquisition in under 2 weeks.
That's a lot. Man.
Yeah, well.
Oh,
that's just the way it goes sometimes.
Okay, so I don't want to talk about this scene because this scene is so well done. It's just like, I mean, you can imagine what she was scrounging up, but this, like, Vigo acts this so well. It's this, like,
she's just a terrible cook.
Sucks it up and just, like, holds it, and then you're like, no, it's good. Yeah. And then that it keeps going. You think, oh, and he goes to set it aside, and she turns, and then he burns himself. I love these are not comedies, obviously, but man, when they hit their little funny moments, and this is interspersed in something like fairly serious that we're talking about here. This is like deep lore stuff they're like getting into all of a sudden about the Dunedain, but it just
Hmm.
has that little comedic kind of undertone to the whole thing. And then especially when we get to the end of this conversation, that she's like, "Oh, please eat," and I'm just going to sit here and watch you. And so, being the polite, good gentleman that he is, he eats
Hmm.
his
Such
nasty
a
soup.
noble man.
He just,
Good protein. But
anyways,
yeah, I
go ahead
love
and
that
talk about
they
Dragon
were
Age
able.
Inquisition.
I love that they were able to put his Dunedain heritage and his very elderly nature into the movie, uh, even if it is just in the extended editions. But yeah, Dragon Age Inquisition, it had these dwarves that are very much Lord of the Rings dwarves without any copyright infringement, and they're too pretty. There's even this one Dwarf Harding in Dragon Age Inquisition, and she went on to be a companion character in the one after that, that I didn't like, and they're too cute. They're too pretty. They look like the Hobbit women in this.
So here we
So yeah,
have what they basically
dream
came up
sequences.
with, but they came up with instead of having, because they wanted to maintain, for the audience's sake, the relationship between Aragorn and Arwen. They didn't want to completely lose that thread, that relationship in this film. And so originally
And
they
they
were going to
really
have
needed to
her.
keep it going
They did.
because otherwise they would have to they have to juxtapose with uh, Eowyn being there and obviously liking him. They're going to go, well, why doesn't he go get with Eowyn? You know,
Yeah. Well,
because
and
he's
this
got
is
elf
the,
girlfriend.
yeah. It's just one of those weird things that you have to make this film work by itself. But at the
Hmm.
same time, what are you doing watching this movie by itself? But you can't make a film and like impose. I mean, it has been done. I think by the time they got to like say Endgame in the MCU, they're like, okay, if you are jumping into this cold, we don't know what to tell you. Sorry, you are going to
Mm.
know. You're not going to know what the heck is going on. But for the most
Yeah,
part, you do have to at least consider the person who stumbled into the movie theater by accident. Um,
right.
and so
Who's
yeah,
getting dragged to the second part of this movie by their friend who's super excited, and they're just going,
yeah. So they did need to do this, and this was what they came up with instead of having Arwen be at Helm's Deep. And I do think that this is the better compromise to make. I mean, this is obviously still changing the narrative structure of these films, sorry, of these stories from the books. But I think that this is a much better way to do this than forcing Arwen to be at Helm's Deep, which would have just been odd.
I part of me wants to see what it would have looked like to have her there. I think that it would have. I don't know. You could have done some really interesting stuff with it. I don't hate the idea, but I'm
No,
also not a purist, right?
yeah, no,
So
I
I understand why you would want to maintain something a little bit more in line with the books, but at the same time, again, I don't hate the idea.
yeah, I think again, you're right. I don't think that it would have been automatically horrible, but I do think that there is you're radically changing something uh,
Mm,
in a way that I think this is a better compromise to main because you're not changing the location of a major character. Although it would have changed the structure for Aragorn a little bit. I mean, his stakes in the battle. Can you imagine
mhm.
him like fighting, but also worrying about her? Although, I mean, she would have been very capable. I mean, Arwen was like most elves at that age, she would have been perfectly capable with the sword. But
Mm.
it would have changed the dynamic of that fight. I do wonder in that scenario if we would have had so many great Legolas and Gimli moments because they would have been making sure Arwen and Aragorn kind of I think their dynamic would have been front and center. So I think that I'm glad that she wasn't there because I have to imagine we got more Legolas and Gimli because of her not being there.
Yeah. Fun little trivia about this scene, though, is that they actually filmed it in English, and then both of them, who had taken a lot of time to learn the Sindarin language, asked if they could shoot it in Elvish. And apparently they just loved it a lot more and were able to keep it. Because this was in the original cut. One of the things that you'll notice is they have that scene between Eowyn and Aragorn where they're talking and it's the stew and all this stuff, and then immediately it jumps to them talking again on the road, and it's kind of weird. Like, why didn't they just combine all of these scenes into one, which would have been the logical thing? But given that they're doing it so out of order with the extended editions, that it's jumping very much back and forth between flashback, dream sequence, Eowyn talking to Aragorn, it's awkward in the editing in these like 15 minutes, you know?
Yeah, and it's if you were going to put this anywhere, I think this makes sense because again, you got a long walk, you'd be chatting about something, and so it's the least awkward place to put it because from here on, like where else would you put it? Because from you got the warg attack here, then Aragorn's missing for a little while, then you're preparing for battle. It just kind of I feel bad for the guy here that just gets like his head like popped off by a warg. It's like, oh, poor guy.
Because he's the guy that I was talking about, where
Yeah.
he's like kind of the unsung hero of that one scene, And it's like, it's a bummer because he was, at first they have him kind of, oh, he looks a little bad guy-ish, trying to get their weapons off of him, but he's actually like, nah, dude, let him let him cure the king and stuff like that. And I felt like he got done a little dirty, but he's just a little side character. So
I love that little. Okay, so Orlando Bloom nailed that. Just like a scout, just killed this guy and just like, all right, we're gonna have more. Mount up. It's just it's cool. It's just yeah. This is also where this was a night they needed a little action scene here. I think just to kind of. I'm a writer.
kind of break it up.
Yeah, just to break it up, give it a little bit. I like to give Legolas a little moment here, a little tiny bit of a zoom shot there. Like, all right,
and this really
wonky
weird
CG coming up
thing.
Yeah, where he like swings up on the horse in a minute. Yeah.
Well, they were gonna do it. He had actually been rehearsing for a stunt. Where he was going to do it himself. It wouldn't look quite as flashy as this, of course, but he was going to jump up onto the horse under his own power. But Orlando Bloom injured himself like 6 times during this movie. He broke ribs, he broke toes, he broke wrists, all this stuff during this movie because he liked to do his own stunts. And
he was
when they figured out that he couldn't do this one, they give him this. I'm sorry?
He was what, like very early 20s when he filmed this? He was pretty young, right?
Early 20s.
Yeah.
Man,
I love that. I love that this
in your early 20s.
Yeah.
It still looks pretty good.
It does,
even if it's weird,
It's the only thing that actually gives it away to me is that the movement just isn't like, even for an elf, it's a little bit odd. Like he actually, like the resolution of the CG character is not bad. It just doesn't move though. Like it doesn't, like physics don't work that way.
No, but elves don't respond to physics.
No.
Now, the whole thing with this isn't entirely out of the blue. In the Fellowship of the Ring, they were pursued by wargs between going through the pass, the big snowy pass, and going to Moria.
Yeah.
So these warg riders from Isengard are around. They're not just added out of somebody's butt.
Poor Gimli. Oh.
But what this does is it removes all bookish loyalty. Accuracy, not loyalty. Wow, Zach.
It's just a great, like, Gimli just, I love the sniff. It's just a great little moment there.
Dude, that's one thing that is consistent through the books is that the orcs stink. They smell awful. And I kind of like that they keep that. It's super gross.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Imagine
it also
how
starts the tradition of them counting.
Yep, yeah, it was the first instance, right, of him
Yeah,
going, that one counts as mine, or something like that. Yeah,
yeah. Like they just have, despite these wargs being very CG, um, I like that they still keep the orcs very practical.
yeah, because they had
Um,
these guys on rigs for the most part. Like there's not a lot of. I
mhm,
mean, obviously in wide shots there are CG orcs, of course, in this scene, but
yeah,
the close ups are still all guys in really good prosthetics and makeup.
yeah. They also specifically made the designs of the wargs um, less dog-like and more hyena-like because they knew how much people like dogs, and they
Yeah,
didn't want to make them just straight up wolves, and so they make them look like inbred hyenas.
I think it kind of
Um,
works though because it's the. I mean, I do think that you have to deal with the psychology that a Western audience is going to be it just they're not going to respond well. I mean, even if you're not a dog person, you have to admit that our culture does not respond well to dogs being killed. So I think
yeah,
it was a good choice.
yeah,
Man,
I
this guy,
get that. I agree with that.
yeah.
Yeah, the makeup here, dude.
Oh, it's
Look at
so
his
good.
nose. Did you ever notice his nose?
Yeah.
Like the gross green crusted boogers and everything like that.
Yeah.
It's so gross. Like I can't even express how gross it is.
Well, just like I mean, the amount of like the black in his mouth, his teeth, the metal on his forehead. It's just it's
What
such good makeup
what they
work.
what they did with those orcs is they actually gave them a um a tinted mouthwash that they would swish in their mouths between takes that would temporarily dye their gums black. And apparently it didn't even taste that bad. But yeah, I remember my dad being kind of confused when he saw this. He's just like, what are they doing here? Like, this isn't part of the story. There were some
Yeah.
people that I talked to who thought that they were actually going to do the Paths of the Dead early, or start sowing the seeds of the Paths of the Dead early. That's what they thought they might have been doing with this, and which would have been a terrible idea.
Yeah. No, I'm
Um,
glad they didn't.
but there was just kind of a lot of confusion around where the story was suddenly going among hardcore Tolkienites
I
because of just how out of left field this all is.
Do you think that they needed to have this whole little side thing with Aragorn? Because I kind of don't think that they did need it. I'm not saying that it's bad. I mean, it works. It's not like it makes the story worse, but I don't think it adds a whole lot actually.
Um, I don't know. I've kind of come to like it. It makes him stand out and give him a little bit more of his own arc, because otherwise you just have this scene here of people that, okay, there was an action sequence. An action sequence needs to have consequences. So what they needed to do is they really needed to highlight Aragorn as a character being like um important. Okay? So you have this moment here with her looking at the food and looking at the people. They're building hopelessness. Okay? And so they wanted to exacerbate that by having it seem as if they're lacking their most important piece on the board, right?
Mm.
But I think mostly it's because they wanted to highlight Aragorn as important, and they also wanted to make that action sequence they had have meaning and consequence. Because otherwise, without that action sequence, you just have a really boring stretch of movie with no fun action adventure sequences.
Yeah, yeah.
And
If they had just basically fought a bunch of wargs, lost a lot of their their main soldiers or whatever, but all the main characters just kept going, then it would have felt like, all right, you did that just for because. Yeah, I could see that.
because you wanted violence.
Yeah.
And so I don't mind it. It also gives a little bit more time to dwell on Eowyn and her own personal stakes as she's just kind of losing everyone. Yeah, even if she just kind of quickly trauma bonded with Aragorn.
Yeah. I gotta say, Helm's Deep, this is one of those sets that just it's so good. It feels old. I mean, the set dressing that they did for this rock, for the the iron,
Mhm.
like I just right there, like the grate. I love that this scene here just kind of tells you immediately when he looks up, like, what is this? And like Saruman with his candle is like, what are you doing, dude? Like,
Yeah, he's like, don't put fire near the explosive.
yeah,
But he wouldn't know what an explosive is, right?
yeah.
And this is something that has caused some quote unquote contention in some circles because there's it never says how they created the breach. Um how they created the breach in Helm's Deep's walls. So this is a liberty that has been taken by Peter Jackson in saying, you know what? They used explosives and they went with it.
Yeah, and it's you had
I
to
like it.
show it. Yeah, I mean, it works because like I would ask, anybody's like, well, hey, it's not them. Like, okay, so then what do you do? Like, you either have to change the design. It's really there's only two, well, three. There's three ways you could do it in my mind. You either do what it is here. You have an explosive happen. You change the design of Helm's Deep and you put a gate in the wall that can be breached, or you
Mm-hmm.
introduce some new random massive creature capable of knocking part of the wall down. Right? Those are really
Or magic.
your only three choices. I mean, but like,
Magic.
but I think that the explosives here are magic. Like I kind of treat it like a form of magic, like Sauron's. Like when you think of magic, you think of like witch's brew, right, or some kind of concoction that a magician comes up with. I've always thought of magic. Sorry, I've always thought of the explosive in this film as a form of magic. I've never thought of it as, oh, he's like created C4 in Middle Earth. Like I've always treated this like a magical
A
concoction that
sufficiently advanced
Sauron.
technology.
Yeah, I mean, you can call it that, but you know what I mean. Like to me, it fits because this is evil magic that Sauron came up with,
Mm.
and
Okay.
so
Okay.
it works for me.
Well, if it works for you. No,
That's all that matters.
I agree. To an extent, I think that there has always been an aspect of magic in even fantasy as old as this that's a little bit just like chemistry, you
Yeah,
know? Um and so I don't know. I really like it. I'm gonna repeat this several times. I think that the Battle of Helm's Deep is the highlight of the entire trilogy. Um, much in the same way that at the end of Empire Strikes Back, you have the "I am your father," right?
yeah,
It's the most famous scene for a reason, deservedly. But um, I think that Helm's Deep is the single best set piece and moment uh, or series of moments in the entirety of Lord of the Rings.
yeah.
It's
Now,
the best. It's the best
did you,
part.
yeah.
It's the best battle. It's the most visceral.
Mm. Now, did you
Fight me.
take this to be Aragorn's horse? Like, what horse is this?
No, it's Brago. It's the horse that he told them to let go. The wild horse that
Oh my
they couldn't
gosh!
control.
Why am I knew
You
that.
didn't know that?
No, I did know that. I literally my brain just betrayed me first. I apologize. No, I did know that. As soon as you
Yeah.
said that, I'm just like, how did I forget that? It's just been a minute.
Now
Yeah.
there's a really funny edit of that scene where it goes from Arwen kissing him to the horse kissing him. And
I would have liked
it's
that.
really awkward
Oh.
and funny. And I saw it so many times during my time in which I hadn't watched The Lord of the Rings at all because I just kind of wanted it to be fresh again. Because I saw it so much that I was kind of getting sick of it. And I had seen that scene so much online that I actually, in my brain, it kind of defaulted over to, oh yeah, he has that awkward kissing scene with a horse.
The horse. Oh gosh.
Yeah, you know,
What,
Mandela effect or whatever you want to call it.
what do you think of the just Arwen and Elrond here? Just kind of the
This scene is 100% necessary. One, like in the unextended version. Okay, we have to think about an unextended version. I think it's
yeah, that's
necessary
true.
for the extended version as well. But what this does is it reminds the audience that Arwen exists. It also tells you what the stakes are. Okay. Also, I want to point out he's wearing Boromir's bracers
Yep.
still in this scene. But what this does is it puts into context the conflict concerning Aragorn and Arwen's relationship. Why is it that her dad is being such a bitch about her and her boyfriend? It's because it's not just overprotective dad and that darn scruffy ranger. Elrond loves Aragorn like a son. He
Aragorn literally
wants
grew up
them.
with Elrond's sons in the book. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, he would love the two of them to be happy. But the fact is, for them to be happy for a short time, Arwen would need to die. And he would rather his daughter survive with them in the Undying Lands than for her to have in his mind, a short-term happiness.
Yeah.
And it doesn't say this about the movie, but in the book, she dies about a year after his death. They have a couple of daughters, and they grow up, and they're like cool people, and they go on to do other things, I think. I don't remember exactly. But she kind of pulls a Padme, and she just dies of like a broken heart. Or a desire to join him
Yeah.
in the afterlife.
This is a scene
so
where
I think that this
Yeah.
scene is important for that reason.
I do think that both Hugo Weaving and Liv Tyler really do a good job in these scenes, though. I think that just there's some real in a cold elvish way. It's well done. I like it.
Yeah. And it's also necessary to remind the audience watching this, especially in theaters and such, of Elrond's existence.
Yeah,
You know?
this is his only.
He was such a this is his only appearance in this movie, and he has such an important couple of scenes in the next one, and this was also peak. Like 2003 was the year of the Matrix.
Yeah, I would
right?
say. Yeah,
So
he was
this
in a lot. He was in a lot of
glory
film.
days.
Yeah. Well, because he did. Yeah, these the Matrix, and then he did V for Vendetta, and then he kind of vanished again from like from big
after
movies
V
at
for
least.
Vendetta, he did Captain America.
Oh, that's right.
And he did other things. Oh, come on. What
Oh
am
no,
I
he's.
thinking of?
I'm not by any means
He did
trying to diminish the amazing work he's done, but like he had this couple years where he was in massive movies, and I think he kind of had his fill and went back to smaller stuff again.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what it is that he did between like 2005 and 2010, because there was stuff. Yeah, it looks like he did take. Not really. He did, like I said, smaller things. Transformers. He was Megatron. The Wolfman in 2010, where he was supposed to have a sequel to that. Yeah, he did a lot of voices.
Yeah, well, he's got an amazing voice. It's interesting to hear.
Yeah.
So, do you want to talk about Faramir for a little bit as we're about to transition back into kind of that story? Because they changed Faramir's character quite a bit in this movie, also.
Yeah. But here we have Galadriel's appearance in here as well.
Oh, that's
my
right.
favorite
Yeah.
gnome. For those of you who don't know, Tolkien originally created the Noldor elves, of which she is a Noldor elf, as deep elves. They're also called, or sword elves, and all that stuff. Or what was the one? It was like a Lunator or something like that. But in his original writing, they refer to as gnomes. He changed them to be a subspecies of elf, of course, but she's a gnome, and I will never not find that amusing. But yeah, Faramir.
You were talking earlier about sorry, when I say earlier, I mean last week, but the that Aragorn was they basically kind of made his character a little more full in took him from just like great hero to a little more nuanced character, and they did something similar with Faramir too, where they Faramir in the book is much more straightforward, not really tempted by the ring, just kind of like, oh, here you go. And they gave him an arc in this film, which I'm just curious what you think of.
They essentially took all of the descriptions of men and the history of men that is written about in the Lord of the Rings that's not necessarily talked about or even shown. It's just Tolkien's exposition in the writing. And essentially they combined all of that into the character of Faramir. He is the picture of men. They do show him as somebody, he's hardy, he's noble, but he's grieving his brother, and he's desperate. He's a little bit more almost like a ranger than a Gondorian. He's this weird halfway between.
Yeah, well, his appearance almost looks like it too at the beginning. I mean, he's got the tree on his chest, obviously, but like all these guys, these kind of scouts, or they come across as almost like a Gondorian like cavalry or something. Almost here is kind of how they're presented, and yeah. It's really right there that scene, which was great for the audience. Also, kind of they showed the audience the map to kind of just help a little bit with the geography, like here's where everybody is, which is a nice way to keep the audience going. But that's also kind of where they established the two towers as they are in this film, because he literally is like Sauron attacks from Isengard, Sauron from Mordor. Just there you go, and we're going to be hit from both sides. I mean, so it's there's a little bit of a, again, exposition, but done in a good way as he's talking to his right hand dude. But for the audience's sake, it's very helpful to kind of remind them of the entire board, so to speak, of the story.
Yeah. He was a lot nicer and less antagonistic. He was much more like, he's the same amount of antagonistic towards Gollum. He hated Gollum as someone of having an evil reputation. But like Faramir pretty much makes this vow to not want the ring. He has, I read it with a little bit more energy than apparently it's supposed to be, because of kind of how they did punctuation back in the day. And so when I had read it, I read it with a little bit more energy in his voice. I thought he was almost having this revulsion temper tantrum when it came to pushing the ring away. And he's like, I would not take this thing if it lay by the highway. I was looking up one of the quotes here. It's just like, if Minas Tirith were falling in ruin and I alone could save her so, using the weapon of the Dark Lord for her good, I would not do it. Like he refuses to go near the ring. He does have this moment, though. This is straight from the book, where he actually is on a watchtower and he sees the boat go by, and he sees the body of Boromir.
Yeah.
Pierced by many wounds.
Mm-hmm. Of course, missing the bracers. Very accurate. Sean Bean cameo in Two Towers, even though he's like in the extended edition, he actually has a decent appearance in Return of the King again.
He does. Which that was in the extended edition because he came back to film that. He did, like, poor guy, this scene.
Oh yeah. Sorry, and I literally got myself mixed up as I was about to. He's in this scene. In my mind, this was in Return of the King. In a flashback for some reason, right here.
he had already traveled back to England when they're like, we want to do another scene, and he's like, ah, damn it. Um, he traveled all the way back, and then they cut it. Poor guy. Oh, dude,
Yeah.
all the chainmail that they made for this movie, though, we talked about it a little bit.
Yep.
They had a
Rubber.
lot of it was actually real chainmail that they turned and thing that some of the weaponsmiths actually like rubbed their fingerprints off, going through millions and millions of pieces of chainmail.
Yeah, but I remember like that specifically because it was so fascinating that regular chainmail didn't look as good on screen, and they did it where they were actually like doing like gaskets, like rubber gaskets that
Uh-huh.
were like chopped up and painted a certain way. And one, it was lighter and easier for the actors to wear, and it actually looked way better on screen than actual metal chainmail.
Yeah,
It's just
metal
kind of one of those.
chainmail it,
Good.
it tends to be too multi-toned and it reflects light. Even when it's painted, it can often reflect light in kind of a funny way because they rub against each other, right? So whatever you paint it as, if it's actual metal, it's gonna rub. Um, and little bits of that paint's gonna come off, and the lighting looks strange on it. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
Now, okay, John Noble. I love John Noble. Okay, we have him here as Denethor, and he's so evil in this. Okay, but this dude just makes me happy. Also, he plays. He briefly appears in The Boys, and he plays Carl Urban's dad.
I always enjoy this. Sorry, I got caught up watching this. The I
Got to be
love
like connection.
this recontextualized, not recontextualizes, but it just I love that this extended scene it because at this point the audience you've seen the Fellowship of the Ring, you've seen his noble death, and here I like that they give you a glimpse that he it's not like he had a turn of heart and became a good man at the last minute when he sacrificed himself for the hobbits, that he here he's defending his brother. He's he's kind of annoyed with his dad. When his dad first shows up, he's like, can I get a moment's rest? Just that there's he was a good man. He was more susceptible to the influence of the ring than his brother. And
Yeah, I think that this is a really important scene. It
it
does make
is.
him, it shows him to be the hero that Faramir sees him as. It's not
Yeah.
just that Faramir had this soft spot for his brother because it was his brother. He was genuinely like a war leader. He loved his brother. He saw the faults of his father. Um, and it's just like they make him more likable through his death
Yeah.
and after.
Yeah. I
Um,
I get why this. I mean, this is one of those that's like hard because I do understand for pacing reasons why you take this out, but I really think this is one of the best examples of a scene that they needed to put back into the extended cut.
mm, yeah. Did you ever watch Fringe?
I I was like waiting, like I know we're talking about John Noble. You're going to talk about Fringe here at some point.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about Fringe.
No, it is on that eternal list of
Uh,
shows that I have not gotten to yet, and I don't know when I will. So I apologize. I know it's good.
well, it has its ups and downs, like all sci-fi, right?
Yeah.
But he is the quintessential mad scientist, and he plays like three different parts, okay? Because it involves a multiverse in some way, so there's different versions of him that pop up, and so he gets to play every version of a mad scientist you can imagine. He's like the kooky crazy one who's asking for weird things like fresh cow's milk to help him think and all this weird stuff, and then also like the evil conniving ones and stuff like that. It's just he's such a good actor, and he made that show.
Mm.
Like it's a fun sci-fi show by itself, but he is the one who actually made it like worth remembering. And this is my plug. If you like sci-fi, you should go watch Fringe.
Yeah.
You have to get through the first season. First season does have some good stuff in it, but it still has a rough first season.
Yeah, like almost every great sci-fi show in existence, you can say that about. So it's all right.
Yeah. That was the one reason why I was almost hoping that they would do a second season of the show The Acolyte, but nah, even then, not every single sci-fi deserves a redemption arc.
Yeah.
Now, this is actually a chapter in the book called The Forbidden Pool, and I was really surprised that of all the chapters they kept pretty accurate to the book, it was this one.
This is a great little. I love Gollum here. Just I don't know why that image of him just like with the fish kind of singing to himself. I think it's just a great little Gollum moment.
Yeah, well, Andy Serkis made up the song, and
Just
they
like
were
die,
gonna
fish,
like,
die.
Mhm.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
but him singing a little ditty and all this dialogue, very book accurate,
Yeah.
which is why it has a little bit more of a poetic sound to it. That's one of the ways you can almost always tell when the dialogue is from the book.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
the writers of the film, they definitely tried and did a good job of making their own dialogue match pretty well, but you can tell when they go almost verbatim to the book. It just has a distinct pattern.
yeah, like
This like
that moment when he steps up to Faramir and he's like, "Let me go down to him." Like the adding of "to him" wouldn't actually happen in modern screenwriting.
no.
It would be like, "Let me go down there," but "let me go down to him." Just that little addition of "to him" tells you kind of subconsciously that's written by somebody who lived a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
And,
Well,
and I always kind of found that interesting.
yeah. To me, it almost reminds me of every now and then when you hear certain Bible verses, they're in King James, the way they're being recited versus a newer translation, where it's like, that's King James. just because of the phrasing.
Phrasing.
Yep.
Yeah. But
The-
brutal
it's-
moment right there, though.
Yeah.
It's just like so sad.
Yeah. Well, and this
Because
is where
you're like,
you genuinely feel for Gollum here. Like you really do. Like even more than when Sam is kind of being mean to him. Because here it's like, yeah, it's just,
there's a difference between somebody being a dick to you and actual torture. And there was
Yeah.
going to be more. They actually had in the script, like them threatening to or actually cutting off his fingertips. Which just would have been like R rating worthy almost.
yeah. That shot of him curled up there is one of the best shots that shows his proportionately like hobbit feet in my mind. That really showcases that he's a hobbit.
Yeah. He was.
Wait, he was a hobbit, yeah. A river hobbit.
Because it's just big, gross feet. But also, like this moment that you have of Faramir understanding what he's dealing with is just really good nonverbal acting.
Yeah.
As he's like looking on with this horror and fascination all at once, and understanding the level of madness, but also getting the information out of it.
This, for some reason, that last little yell there, it makes me chuckle. I don't know why. It's just like, all right, Gollum, calm down. I mean, I know you just, and it's like, I feel bad because like he just got beat. So it's like, it's not funny. But for some reason that my precious and then a yell, it's just like, all right.
Yeah, you're just a masochist. You're just a sadist.
They do a good job of throughout this film, and then especially when we get to Return of the King. And I know a lot of it's just the makeup job. They're just Elijah Wood losing that brightness. We talk about Elijah Wood. Half of his casting was just his face, those big doughy eyes of his. But they really do a good job of just slowly making him just look fatigued and paler, and his eyes just have less of a spark to them in a way.
Yeah,
it's really effective.
Part
If
of
you go
it
back,
is they go. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I mean, if you took a screenshot from this film, and then you compare it to the a screenshot of his face when Gandalf's pulling into the Shire at the beginning of Fellowship, like it really is. You can tell this is somebody who's been through some stuff already, who has a burden, who has
Yeah.
his life has changed drastically. So, anyways, go ahead.
Well, part of it's the added redness around his eyes.
Hmm.
But okay, so since we have the scene added, right, with the with Faramir and Boromir and Denethor, that makes this scene so much more impactful.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I
like,
in the theatrical cut, this scene, well, and the whole to show his quality is like, okay, that's kind of an odd way to put it. But if you, yeah,
mm,
we've had that established already. Like this has weight to it. This has context
mhm,
that is totally
yeah,
missing in the theatrical cut.
and it also establishes that Faramir is stronger than his brother. It's so important for this moment when he rejects the ring, and um yeah, I just think it's really good. And it maybe I really like Faramir. Even if they make him this kind of mysterious asshole at first, but he grows on you so well, and you get to see this kind of desperate strength of character. And in the end, he gets a girl.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Another extended cut where they get the House of Healing, I think it's called, or
Yeah, because in the book, he's recovering from his ordeal. He wakes up and there's this girl who's also recovering, and it's like love at first sight. And he's just like, I want that one. And it's like it's a little simple in how it's described in the book, but it's cute,
it is. And I mean,
and I like it.
yeah, I mean, Tolkien was not a writer of grand romance, and that's fine. But
In fact, he was the writer of the very simple romance, which in its own way I tend to like a lot more. There's of course space for grand romance and uh,
well, I
any
most
type of
romance
genre.
most romance is simple though. Like most real
Mhm.
romance is not some Shakespearean story.
Yeah. Um, I'm really not a fan of how J.K. Rowling writes teenage boys. She doesn't understand them, but she did the very simple but like you're rooting for Harry and Ginny to get together, especially in the sixth book. Um, and she does it very simply. It's not this complex will they won't they relationship. He's just like, I really like this girl. I want to pursue this despite all of the stuff in the way, and it makes it all the more impactful because you have the will they won't they of like Hermione and Ron, which almost makes you see how unhealthy that relationship is. And so the simple, almost quote unquote more pure relationships tend to be a little bit more like wholesome.
Yeah.
You know, that's my
You look
tirade.
awful. Yeah, this moment is just great here, and man, this shot coming up where he opens the door here in a minute,
Oh,
it's such
iconic. Like,
yeah,
I don't like to use the word iconic because so many people overuse it, but man, it's like this is genuinely the hero shot. The dirty hero, I almost want to say. I love it.
I love just too
Um,
how much is. I mean, there's just like tiny little Elvish phrase, but just you don't need a lot of dialogue there when he gives
yeah.
her, Legolas gives him back. But right here, man, that's a trailer shot. Just like
Oh yeah. Like, I am alive, I am pissed off, and I'm here to help.
yes. All right. Well, and I mean, I do like too that they used Aragorn being kind of behind essentially the rest of the for him to see the Orokai company, just to be able to
Hmm.
have that warning of like he saw them himself, where it's not just
Yeah.
some random messenger just like assuming that they're on their way to
Hmm.
establish that. I think it helps a little bit.
And it gives just Viggo Mortensen the chance to like I don't know, acting chops or
Oh yeah.
something.
Oh, he's he's
Oh, I love
amazing.
his coat is just so torn to hell.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, because there's a couple scenes that they had. They don't keep him in the same clothes the entire time. Back in Edoras, they have this moment when he's in this like red and like red tunic with a green vest, and it's a lot more like kind of noble and simple. And I uh I like that they change his clothes around a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Gimli always looks so different without his helmet on,
Yeah, yeah.
and I mean,
He's got the
not in a
big
bad
like
way.
poof.
But he's just he's just they did a good makeup job like on his forehead and stuff just to make this because his helmet is such a big part of the shape of his head, but he just
Mhm.
without it he just looks tired. Just a tired old dwarf.
Yeah,
I don't have time for this
he's
crap.
got a little bit of a Klingonness to him.
A little bit, yeah, yeah. Oh man, we do have coming up here in a minute too. I love the gearing up scene. I mean, I'm a
Oh
sucker
yeah.
for any kind of
Oh yeah.
classic like mount up. We're just the it's that montage from the 80s kind of taken to the best version. I'm always a sucker for,
Mm.
and of course putting just that little bit of humor into it when we get to it. It's the male thing a little tight on Gimli, but this whole
Yeah.
scene, I like that they acknowledge this right here. This is a great conversation because it is his Theoden. It is his job to like keep morale up and just to quietly
Mm.
acknowledge of like, what am I supposed to do here? Like what would you have me do? And the kind of going through like it's an honest conversation. When we get to Gondor, his reaction of just his pride
Mhm.
flaring up again, and it's
But
just
like
this.
not just his pride, but his hurt.
Yeah,
Gondor abandoned them.
yeah,
And Gondor didn't even unrighteously abandon them. It's not that they went, haha, stupid Rohan. It's that they have problems of their own, but it left him in such a vulnerable position. It's like all of these people, and he's struggling with it so
yeah.
deeply. That interaction that they had there on the wall, I wish that I could just pause this and we could just talk about every little bit of it when it comes to leadership,
Yeah.
um, pride. Like the way that they wrote that dialogue was so good, and the reactions that they gave them. Um, yeah,
Oh,
and we have to jump back to them. It's been a long time since we've seen them,
oh yeah. It's been what 45 minutes
like
probably.
45 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
This
it's
whole
like, oh crap, that's right, these hobbits exist.
you kind of forgot about him.
Hmm.
The speech pattern of Treebeard when they just like emphasizing how long things take. It's like a joke within a joke where literally the
Mm.
dialogue is about how long this goes and the dialogue itself kind of being so like, are you gonna finish your sentence? Just curious. It just
I
it's great.
love the design of all these ents, though. Like, I imagine them having so much fun designing all these things.
Yeah. They look good too.
Probably a lot
Like,
of frustration bringing them to life too.
oh yeah. The willow back is a willow back there over his shoulder or
Yeah, yeah. I
looks
always like
cool.
the look of the willow, just like all the branches coming out of his head and hanging over his face. In the book, there's they lost the Entwives, and they talked about that earlier. But it kind of implies in the Silmarillion that they're all dead, that they all got destroyed in the last war in this giant explosion, and that these are the last of the Ents, and they're going to slowly die off. It's kind of sad.
Yeah. And
And
go ahead.
go for it.
I like that because she saw him come and that come back and kind of like stopped when she saw him and Legolas interact and so this is actually the first interaction they've had since he got back and she's like kind of
Hmm.
just being pissy just like but it does make sense given what they established when they left Edoras that she's like I can I can fight and then here just that conflict of she has I mean I would call it a crush. She's not in love with him. She has a crush on him, but she also is
I
dealing with
think that she has
a
she's
legitimate
built a,
frustration.
Mhm.
What do you go
Yeah,
ahead?
and she's built this genuine admiration for him. She sees why people follow him, and it is a form of love. And it's almost like her way of stating that there could be something between them if he would let her.
Yeah,
And it's his way of essentially saying no.
yeah. These
And
caves look cool.
it's brutal
Yeah.
because you know that he's not trying to hurt her, but there's gonna be pain, you know?
This shot here always just is like I'm
Yeah,
taking
the son.
the son going like, no, he's old enough, he's got to come, and the old man, and just it's the desperation of this, the idea that we're going to take
Yeah.
kids who have
And
no
one of the things
business.
that they do one of the things
Good.
that they do really well though, because like they have the old man, they have the guy taking the young man, but it's not some scene where he's like dragging him by the collar. You see the
Oh no,
soldier, he has his arm around the young guy, he pats him on the shoulder with the other. You see that he's like, this isn't a group of mean people. This
no.
is like, come on, son, we have a duty. And it's such a different tone to how you usually see that type of scene.
Well, yeah, and that's the
What do
thing.
you
The
think
thing
of
that
this scene with Legolas, though?
mm,
Sorry.
no, it's I think that he thinks that he's being because he's speaking Elvish. You know, it's like
Hmm.
I think that he's just I don't know. I think that it's not supposed to be that Legolas is like being a coward. I think he's frustrated. He's looking at this.
I think he's.
Go ahead.
Oh, I just think he's kind of being practical. You know, he's an old elf, right? And he sees, Legolas has a bigger view. He knows that Aragorn has a bigger part to play, and for them to die here would be useless.
Yeah,
Um, and so I don't think he I don't think he's actually that worried about the surviving humans because he's not really programmed to be, you know?
yeah. No, that's right. I think that I think that he's like you said. I think he's frustrated. He's just like, what are we doing? Because this isn't going to like we're not going to be able to solve this problem. And
Yeah.
so
This side quest
what's
is
the
going to
actual
tank our
plan?
entire playthrough.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. The idea that if we go down here, then we're not going to get to Gondor. We're not going to make sure the ring is destroyed. Like there's just like you said, he's the perspective of an old being. Even a young elf like Legolas would still be so much older than anybody here, and would really just have a perspective that even as old as Aragorn is, he wouldn't have. So and
Hmm.
whoever this actor is, the size of that helmet, it's just effective. I like, we were talking about leadership earlier and just, Theoden, that this isn't like a cruel, there's not cruelty anywhere. Even in Theoden, like he's frustrated, he's got anger, he's got ego, he's got all kinds of things going on. But I'm glad that because I think it would have ruined the Rohans a little bit if they had made them be a little bit more just rough. The fact that they kept kind of a noble spark to the whole thing, which allowed the desperateness to be a little bit more felt, and you feel for all of them. If you had all of a sudden introduced something to the audience where you had members of the Rohirrim that you kind of would look forward to see die because they were mean to a kid earlier, it would introduce like an emotional conflict to the battle that the audience doesn't need.
Mm.
The audience needs to be able to root for the Rohirrims in totality and hate the Orcai in totality. This isn't like a nuanced thing where some of the orcs aren't that bad and some of the Rohirrims are actually kind of, bad dudes that if they go away, it's okay. You know what I mean? This is a simpler
Mm.
tale than that. And I like that they maintain that.
Yeah, same. Um, I think that there's also something to the scenes. They're a little bit broken up,
Here
right?
we go.
But
So
you have the gearing up scene,
I
but
love
you
this.
just had the Theoden gearing up scene where he's kind of like distant and he's contemplative and he has this, uh old poem that he's reciting. Whereas Aragorn, while a guy gears him up for him. where Aragorn gears himself up. And I think it's
Yeah.
supposed to show kind of their different leadership styles.
Yeah, very much. This is a great scene, though. This kid, this actor, did such a good job of like, I have no idea what I'm doing. This armor doesn't fit. What am I? I've never picked up a sword in my life.
Um, One of the things that isn't
He's a
said
little
out
pretty.
loud, he is, but he said that he's supposed to be the son of the steward that I was talking about earlier that got eaten by the warg. That in the first half of the movie is the one who stopped the other guards from interfering with Gandalf.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be that guy's son.
Okay, I missed that.
Well, it's not blatantly said. It was in one of the commentaries, and they just didn't want to muddle things up and make things overly goopy.
I love the detail of the knot after he buckles his belt, because that's a real thing. Just like, nope, this has gotta stay. But
Yeah, no flapping.
yep. I love Legolas's armor too. The kind of leather shoulder armor they give him, a little more ranger, elfish, but still kind of the structure, the kind of overlapping structure. Gimli
Yeah,
here.
they make them all a little bit more robust in this whole scene.
Oh, man. How would you
Yeah, it's a
actually
good scene.
fight with? I mean, obviously it doesn't stay in that because you could never fight in that. Okay,
Yeah,
so elves showing up at Helm's Deep.
yeah.
I know that this bothers some people,
Hmm.
but I like it. I like the idea that there are some elves should be like, we're going to go help. We don't have tremendous power anymore in terms of numbers,
Hmm.
but we're not just
Oh
going
yeah.
to bail.
At the very front of that scene, okay? In that scene where they were watching, you're seeing them come up from behind. At the very front, you saw the hint of red moving with them. The entire point of this elven column was that Arwen had turned back um, to help, and she was supposed to show up with this column, and they replaced her with Haldir. And I mean, he was going to be there with him, with Arwen. But there's a couple scenes when Arwen is visible. She was going to be in a red cloak like him. And it, you can see an elf in red cloak where they shouldn't be in a couple of spots. And you can actually see Liv Tyler in a couple of spots. I think it's been edited out in the HBO Max version that we're currently watching. So I don't think we're going to be able to see it. But on some of the older DVDs, you can still find scenes in the battle with Liv Tyler in the background.
Interesting. I never really looked for that. So
Yeah.
this whole
It's
okay. So we are
fascinating.
about to start one of the best
The
battles.
single greatest battle.
What to say? You mentioned that you've considered this, and I agree with you. By the way, as much as I love the first movie so much, but I mean this is one of the best battles just on film. Period.
You're gonna pick up at a spot. And it's just like they have such good comic relief between the two of them.
Well, it's the perfect amount of levity to give, because like even some of the best battles ever put on film, you still have those little tiny moments of I mean heck okay, so even back in I was talking about Private Ryan during the first part of this. Gosh, even in Omaha Beach, they literally have moments between Tom Sizemore's character and Tom Hanks, where it's like, if your mother saw that, she'd be very unhappy. I thought you were my mother, just Sergeant, just stuff like that, where there you need it. You need a little bit. You need and you can't overdo it, because you can't turn a battle into comedy, because then you lose the stakes. But you need
Yeah.
to. It's also human. That's the thing. It works because human beings use humor to deal with stress. That is a very real thing that people do. And so it's not out of place. And actually, if you don't have any of it, if you just have dead seriousness. There's no levity of any kind. It actually comes across as a little bit like forcefully faked, where
Mhm.
human beings aren't acting naturally because this is what we do. Because we're like, this is freaking stressful. Somebody please crack a joke. So, anyways,
Yeah. And we passed by a little shot of the women and children in the caves, and the little focused for a minute on this little doe-eyed girl shaken, and that's actually Peter Jackson's daughter, and she was a hobbit in the first one, and she's in Gondor in the third one. Just a fun little thing. Peter Jackson himself makes a cameo.
he like he's an
In the
archer,
battle.
right? Yeah, isn't he an archer up
Yeah,
on the wall?
I think he's throwing a rock or a spear.
Okay, yeah. Should I get you a box? And I mean the story of filming this. I mean, what was it like 3 months of like midnight shoots that they did it took to film this? Something crazy like that?
Mm-hmm. In the dark and wet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
this
they
is
all
real
printed
rain.
up, somebody printed up a whole bunch of T-shirts that said "I survived Helm's Deep" because it was such a hard shoot.
Yeah. But it also
And-
it shows up that like this is one of those times when the hard work put in is visible on screen.
Yeah, worth every second. Like it just.
Oh, crap.
I love this.
So this is
Like,
also yeah, it's great. So a little bit of humor here, but this was also heavily inspired by the Zulu movie, the fight of the Zulus, or the old movie about the British military being attacked
Yeah,
in
I've seen
Africa.
it.
Yeah, very heavily. Where the idea that like a lot of the buildup, I guess they used that as inspiration for a lot of the structuring of this battle.
So it begins. Did I ever tell you how much I love the Uruk-hai shields? Oh, it does have my single biggest pet peeve
What's that?
in anything. Fire. He uses the command to fire. Like he uses he had to prepare to fire, he says, but he says release arrows. That's more right. Release or loose is what archer volleys would say.
He says fire.
Fire. Why are they yelling fire? Where's the fire? That didn't come around until muskets, when they had to fire the muskets.
Yeah,
They had to
it's
add
a
fire to
modern.
them. It's a modern colloquialism that's used in fantasy for the loosing of arrows. It didn't exist before guns. So it's one of my pet peeves in that the arrows are firing. No, the arrows are being loosed. And so that's a me thing, but it drives me nuts.
I love the design of these ladders.
Love the design of these ladders.
Jinx. Yeah, that was good. I love the end being spiked. The idea of these guys on the tops just being. Oh man, it's cool siege tactics. The switching to the swords. Gimli's just like, come on, get him up here. I need to fight somebody. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Dude, and one of these things just swinging around a claymore on this, wall, terrifying. Absolutely horrifying.
There's your Wilhelm scream right there.
Wilhelm scream.
Yep. You got to get it in there.
Yeah. The choreography to the battle, it is a lot of quick cuts, but they're not so quick that it's disorienting. And a lot of the strikes just feel good and feel right,
Yeah.
And I remember the Two Towers video games, and I'll tell you, those Berserker orcs were the worst.
Oh, that great humorous shot. An axe to the groin.
Mm-hmm.
It's just,
Yeah, the counting.
and the thing is though, it works because like warriors would do this, like soldiers would be like, hey, who's winning? Like again, it works because you can kind of believe that this would be happening.
I mean, you go look at a lot of World War II stuff, because that's the easiest one to go back to, and you shoot down a plane, you're putting a little sticker of you're painting another plane on the side of your plane. Your tank, you blow up another tank, you're putting a notch on the side of the tank. A sniper shoots a guy, he'll put a notch in the rifle.
Yeah.
It's just the way that it goes. They count, and they'll compete, and they'll make it kind of funny between them.
Well, again,
It's dark.
I really think, yeah, it is dark humor, but it's also, it is a way to deal with the horror of war.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I love
Uh,
Treebeard just kind of nodding off in the middle of his sentence like an old man.
and the idea that that's it. That's good. Wait a minute, that is all you've come up with. But again,
Yep.
the idea that this is an old world, and these are, these creatures have had, up until now, they've had hundreds of years to make up their minds about fairly
Mhm.
simple things. So it is the idea
Yeah.
of being hasty is a new concept.
Yeah. Also, it the Entmoot took so long in the books. They're there for like 2 full days waiting for them to finish this conversation.
Yeah, I can see why they would edit that down a little bit. I mean, I think they've let almost a full day go by as far as like it's the middle of the night now.
Mm-hmm.
A long time to say.
So one of the things that we didn't touch on, when the orcs are chanting before the attack, Peter Jackson they went to a cricket match and got something like 25,000 cricket fans to do the chant, and they recorded it. Which is just cool. I love it when they do stuff like that. Hans Zimmer famously did that for The Dark Knight Rises. The little rise chant that they use throughout that movie is a whole bunch of people that he allowed them to submit their vocals online for it, and it was a bunch of fans.
Nice. I think I remember reading that at some point, but this I love too because I love that moment with Theoden. Just the whole, this is it, this is all you've got. Because at this point, you're thinking, oh, okay, so they are whittling us down. This is like attrition happening, but like, how are they actually threatening, to like overrun the keep? And here's your like, oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. There's
And Legolas
guy.
is like, this usually works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a
Oh.
good explosion. I just love the amount of the amount of debris, just the big rocks. It's just
It's just, it looks so real. And the reason why it looks so real is that it is.
yeah.
They blew up a bigature.
Yep.
And so rare that you get to do that.
Just enough slow motion to give those big chunks of stone the appropriate amount of weight. It was like that's and slow motion. We've talked about it before. Neither one of us are a huge fan of it, especially when it's overused. But it has its place,
Yeah.
and that was a really good spot to put in just a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the perfect spot for it, in my opinion. I love it. It's slightly comedic, but it's also terrifying. Like, they're all
There's Peter Jackson. There he
thrown
is.
backwards. That's Peter Jackson right there. They're like thrown back, but they instantly like jump forward again.
Yeah, but it would be that desperation of just like gotta. Oh man,
Yeah.
this is where
But
I almost wonder here. From if you like analyze the strategy in like Gimli, dude,
yeah.
wouldn't you want to almost immediately fall back because you are really like you have no chance of actually like trying to hold this gap.
It depends on who's holding the gap. Like, if you're able to get a foothold in the gap, you'd want to hold them for as long as possible. But like them spilling in like that, yeah, I would probably want to retreat back.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, a little
Good
snowboard
beheading
moments.
scene.
Oh yeah,
I hate this, but I love it, but I hate it, but I love it. And I think he broke like I think he chipped his pelvis doing that.
oh poor Gimli. Although that puddle probably saved his life.
Yeah.
But here you go.
puddle's
We're
gross.
basically you lose all the rest of your elves there. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I feel like they walk an okay line of obviously your main characters have some plot armor here, but they're in enough peril that there's tension, but the fact they all survive seems plausible. That's always a hard line to walk, right? Because you're like, well, you're obviously not just going to have your hero get randomly killed by a minion, but you can't
Yeah.
have the battle have no tension, right? So like that is a tightrope you got to walk, in these situations, and I feel like they do a pretty good job with Legolas, Gimli, and Aragorn. Because those are,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're an audience member who hasn't read the book, I feel like those are the three characters you're pretty sure are safe in this battle.
Hmm.
But it never seemed like there's been times where I've seen action sequences where I'm just like, there's no tension here because of course they're not going to get, killed here. There's no way. So there's not tension here. But they do a good job in Helm's Deep here of maintaining tension while at the same time not betraying the fact that, these three characters are pretty safe.
Yeah.
This is a good little speech, by the way, that Mary gives
Mhm.
here.
Yeah. Like they understand that they're the only ones who can actually do this. Up until this time, they have been passengers through this whole thing. This is the moment in which they change the course of the world when they decide that they need to act. Um and yeah,
Well,
it's a good
well,
moment for Mary.
it's also it harkens back to the old this is now I'm not going to quote the line right, but basically like a time is coming when hobbits, the smallest of creatures, will change the course of history. Just one of those, and Merry and Pippin are just as much part of that as
Mhm.
Frodo and Sam.
Yeah. It's a dragon Gimli.
This
So
this did get
funny
me
thing,
emotionally when he goes down here.
yeah, because like he's not even an important character, but he's just enough of a name. But also the way that they film it is effective. He's a named character. You know that he's important to Aragorn, and he has to watch his friend die.
Well, and
Um,
there's also just to have is elves are like a next tier being in this world, and especially the named elves, like they're powerful creatures. So for one of them to go down, it just has it has some
it's
weight.
a genuine loss because it's all that memory in life.
Yeah,
You know, this isn't somebody too young to die, but at the same time, the amount of memory that they carry is more valuable than 1,000 freaking libraries.
yeah.
Now, this whole thing of I want to talk about the door actually. Um, they built a big door and they were filming a battering ram knocking it down. They couldn't get it to knock it down. They had to weaken it, even using a genuine battering ram and a whole bunch of really strong guys. And so there was this comment like, if anybody ever needs a castle built for the end of the world, make sure it's the Weta guys building it for you.
Nice. Oh, that's great.
Because they built the wall too well. But what do you think of the whole thing of Aragorn like jumping into the middle of the army?
I mean,
It's a little weird to me.
yeah, he needs to get out. I mean, it's such a fun scene with him and Gimli that I go with it because it's just fun. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, I liked
How did he
Theoden
get
go.
back?
Yeah, he was because
It is.
it's weird because if you track it, like the ladder, they almost make it seem like there was a ladder on the backside
Yeah.
of the wall, but no, there wouldn't have been any ladders on the backside of the wall. He would have gone out in the
No,
front,
he
which means
jumps into the middle of the army,
yeah, there's
and then
it does
somehow gets fights his way back in and around.
yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's just this is one of those battles that it doesn't hold up to intense scrutiny, but it's so good that you just kind of don't care at a certain point. You're like, you know what, it's fine. We're just rolling with it. It's a
Yeah,
long way.
it's my one big complaint. Well, at this, I actually really like because, you know, two really skilled berserkers on a treacherous, um, walkway like this would be actually effective.
Oh, well, this is how the Spartans did it, right? You just
Yeah. Well, I
it's
mean,
all
there's
about
actually
geography.
there's a really famous battle. I forget the name of it, where one guy held off a significant amount of enemies by himself on a bridge. It's a Scandinavian legend that's believed to be mostly true, I think. I remember in theaters, people thought this was like the coolest thing when the guy gets hit by this. There were those people going, "Oh!" And he just like gets thrown backward. Ugh! Look at that,
Yeah. Oh, it's
the
just rough.
momentum.
I love though that they kind of figure out like the mechanics in a way of this, because you have the, when the big arrow went up, it's a loop, so they could have it as a leverage point to pull the ladder up. Actually, I mean, I love the fact that there's that they thought of how this would actually work.
Yeah, like they would need that fulcrum.
Yeah.
I I love that just like the music goes silent just for that fall. It's really good. Um,
Oh man. This is great. I enjoyed that
yeah.
they're showing Gimli and Aragorn that when they are fighting, that they were kind of like taking
Mhm.
turns. They were kind of rotating around, like who was in front, and it
Yeah.
was just good. It was cool. It is cool. I
Yeah.
do. There you go.
This is the thing there. Yeah, that's where a
Yeah.
whole bunch of people like, oh, in the theaters when the guy gets just launched by the giant ballista.
Yeah.
Um,
I do feel like they
and
the amount of work that went into shoring the door back up, and the Aragorn and Gimli doing their work, and then just how quickly the door gets taken back down again. It's like it really sells the futility of this at this point. It's just
Mhm.
they're just losing. You're
Losing.
trading ground for time at this point.
Mhm. Yeah, but that's like kind of the point.
Oh yeah, I
Almost
mean
like
that's how a lot of
it's an
battles actually go.
inevitability, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Though very few battles were ever really fought to like wipe out the other side. It was usually just to press them until they surrender.
yeah.
So
Because
fantasy battles do have that little added extra
yeah,
fantasy, you know.
but it's more intense if your goal is just to kill everybody. But that's where it also works, because you have the motivations of creatures like Orokai would be very different than men fighting men, because you want their resources, you want the resource of them to be able to then become slaves and build your stuff for you and make your food for you. And it's the whole point of conquest is having the thing you conquered afterwards. But the motivations for orcs and Orokai would be a little different.
Yeah, just a wee bit. Probably meat.
You are very small. Oh, I was like,
Yeah.
I love the line. I always like walking south. I feel like it's walking downhill.
I mean, it would be for Fangorn Forest, you know, it is on a southern slope like that.
Yeah.
I
It's
just
just
like
a funny
watching
line.
the end scenes, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
I like that they
and
give
again,
Pippin the idea here, though. It's good.
well, they have Merry being that kind of like he's the catalyst. He's like, we need to do this, and Pippin's the one who solves the problem,
Yeah,
and it creates such a good little symbiotic relationship.
it does.
Yeah.
Ah,
And back to
okay.
Frodo and
Yeah.
Sam.
That
Where's
is
Frodo and Sam?
the one thing that I think the extended cut struggles with a tiny bit. I still prefer it greatly. I'm not even beginning. I'm not trying to argue that I prefer, but I do think the extended cut struggles sometimes with the amount of time you're away from certain characters can be excessive at times.
Mm, yeah. Because, I mean, she don't want to be away from the Battle of Helm's Deep for too long. It's the frickin' Battle of Helm's Deep.
No,
Best part of the movie.
this is
Well,
a very poignant scene, though. I think too, the fact that they gave you enough time with Treebeard that for the audience, by the time you see this, you
Mhm.
get it. You would get like
Yeah.
to Treebeard this would be like a human coming upon a village with like dead women and kids laying on the ground. You know,
Yeah, this is
a wizard should know
that
better.
line.
That's a good
That's
line.
such a good line to me. I don't know what it is about it, but it's like there's such a betrayal in this scene, and it makes me sad. And it's supposed to, it's well
Yeah.
done.
Well, I think
Um,
again it works because the movies have done their job to invest you in the age of this world. That there are forces at work here that are ancient. The idea that like this is a betrayal that goes back a long way. Like again, a wizard should know better. You know, this is a relationship that's not new. This is a betrayal of something that goes back, hundreds, if not thousands of years.
mm, mhm. I like they added that little scene there of the other
Trees
the
going at
other
home.
Ents going off somewhere else, and you don't know where they're going yet, and it's mysterious. Um, but yeah, just the forest coming alive and moving with these Ents like that, and a little crazy look in his eyes at that point. Um, like stuff like this where he's just kind of talking to them, talking to himself. It's almost like a monologue here. It just riles you up with that music, the last march of the Ents,
Oh,
probably going to their deaths, something that has not happened in an age. And it's just like, there's an energy to this that no other movie or series has. Like, the closest thing I can think of to this is Order 66, Operation Nightfall. That momentum of, like, it's all coming together in this grandiose epicness that you don't see in movies very often or in stories. And it just gets you.
I completely agree. And I mean, Howard Shore is pretty shameless about using choir to emphasize that those moments, but I don't mind because it's that good. Um,
Mm-hmm.
this it's interesting because they have the job here of they are bringing three storylines kind of the conclusion here, right? As we're kind of racing towards the end of this film. And
Mm-hmm.
it's Helm's Deep is easy, right? Okay, so you have when we get our victory at Helm's Deep, Gandalf shows up and Yahoo. But wrapping up the other ones, having the March of the Ents, having that happen, I think is just it's really you would do essentially get to especially if you go to theatrical cuts, because in theatrical cuts, Return of the King, you don't have Saruman at all. So you do get the kind of finale of the victory at Helm's Deep, and then the Ents taking down or Orthanc. So you kind of
Mm-hmm.
get one of the two major threats dealt with at the end of this film. So you get a sense of closure in the middle film about one of the main plot threads, which works well. But then this is actually the storyline here that it would be hard to like. Okay, how do you create a pivot point for Frodo and Sam where you're going to end a movie and it's I think this is a pretty good way to do it, the way they do it here, where you do have you have a little, in the grand scheme of things, this isn't nearly as epic of an action sequence as Helm's Deep or the Ent March or the March of the Ents, but it does. I
It's a
think
scarier sequence because it means so much more than those other two.
it does, and I think that it's given because I agree that if they had tried to cram Shelob into the end of this thing and had that be the big ending, it would have. I'm glad that they didn't. I really think that was a wise decision.
It would have done a disservice to all of the storylines involved. Um, and I think that showing Gondor's plight early, establishing Faramir early, they even have a line later of Sam saying we shouldn't even be here, that's quite literally a joke because they never went there in the books. They
No.
shouldn't be there. But I think that it is a really, I don't even know how to describe it, a capable compromise.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the a map, the Frodo and Sam going up to Osgiliath and then back, it doesn't make any sense. It's just a massive detour that doesn't work on a geographically. But
Yeah, it does.
I mean, it's back up and then back down again.
And not really. It's more like it turns their straight line into an L.
Yeah. All right. Well, either way, it's the kind of thing where I think when you have to interweave these stories and you have to find a way to literally end a film, it's a good way to give them a pivot point to then set them up for Shelob in the next movie. I also
it also sets up the Nazgul for just how dangerous they are in the third one with the Witch King.
That is a good point. I also so I don't know if we want to talk about it now, but I was going to say Sam's speech. I kind of wanted to. I'm thinking about that ahead of time now, and I really like it. It is cheesy as anything, but I really like it, and I'm curious what you think.
I also think it's cheesy. I never had any problem with it. I thought that it was mainly like I didn't really like how it was shot because you have some really cheesy things in here, like Theoden just sitting there looking into the middle distance, being like, "What can we do against such reckless hate?" These are cheesy moments. They blow the horn. They're mounting up horns in the middle of the castle, mounting up horses in the middle of the castle keep to go charge. And they're doing it. And it's this.
Yeah, a good cavalry charge like this, though, like you would. I mean, this is it. Medieval war horses were bred to do this, right? Just to plow through. Mm-hmm. They had horse armor was a thing back then. I mean, they don't show it on these horses, but this was a strategy for cavalry.
Yeah,
and they showed Return of the King, obviously, in Pelennor Fields. The Rohans just we're just going to run you guys down, which I love, by the way. When we get to that sequence next week or the week after, probably.
That was one of those sequences with them riding out where you could actually see some of the remnant fragments of Arwen. She was supposed to be there with them, and you could see that one of the riders is distinctly different, and they just changed the color of the cloak and added a helmet.
Okay,
and
is it a pet peeve of yours? It is for mine every now and then. When you have a battle where all of a sudden a hero who's in the middle, he would be surrounded, has a moment to kind of stop and just notice something.
Oh yeah, it's totally unrealistic.
Yeah, because in a real battle, he just would have been killed immediately there because he took his focus off fighting.
Obviously, there's just some serf that's dying off screen so they could have that epic moment.
Yeah, just this is another great musical cue.
Epic moment.
Oh, yeah.
The shot is such interesting camera shots.
This tracking shot.
They have the spears going down, right? And that'd be deadly to a cavalry charge. But then the orcs' sensitivity to the light coming over the hill, they turn a little bit, giving them an opening to charge in. It's environmental storytelling that fits with the lore, and I love it because it makes an actual strategic difference.
Yes, it's not just for it's not just cool. It actually would make the charge more effective
while fitting in with the lore.
All of these little orc takedowns.
My favorite sequence, though.
Yeah, well, all the random. Yeah, they immediately go at him with axes.
Yeah.
But just the ends stomping at him. I love the little moments here of hobbits throwing rocks again because it's a big part of the books that hobbits are good rock throwers.
Saruman also just being totally baffled, like what the hell is happening right now?
Yeah.
Because this is something he would not have imagined. He's just like those stupid trees. Well, or they wouldn't do anything. They're old and lazy, and you know. But nope, they're here.
Yeah.
Um,
This one, Alan.
and
I love
he's just in a
later
panic,
when the water comes in that the ant puts himself
yeah,
out. That's on fire.
right.
Oh man.
Great attention to detail. Also, dams breaking, dude.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that is a major thing in war. And
Well,
again,
and
this would all be
the
CG
symbolism.
now, and they actually built the miniatures. You know?
Yeah, they did, and but also too, just I love the symbolism here, and this is very intentional, obviously, that you know, that nature kind of reclaims the industry that Sauron was
Hmm.
doing, just a burning. I just, it's maybe it's a little, on the nose, but I like it.
Well, Tolkien was very on the nose. He was
Oh yeah,
very anti-industrial.
yeah,
He had a lot of the forests that he knew growing up that were completely leveled and destroyed in World War II in order to build stuff, and he hated it.
one
He would be
tree there.
considered a radical
Yeah.
environmentalist by today's
Yep.
standards.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I
But even
always
look at this.
imagined
The water is a little off in scale, but it looks so good
it really does.
because
Yeah,
they're using real water. They're using real miniatures and bigatures, and
yeah,
it still holds up today, even if there's some obvious little issues here and there.
yeah. But again, yeah, the physics of that platform kind of twisting and falling. I always imagined the
Hmm.
ants like almost like rooting themselves a little bit to like kind of stay in the ground, like as the
Yeah,
water
like
comes.
gripping with your little rooty toes.
Yeah, just like they're just like one with the yeah.
They're one with the
This
earth.
yeah. Now it's funny CG wise Gollum is such an amazing creature, but these now Nazgul are also just really well done. The CG of these things.
Yeah, they're creepy. They're in the books, the cries that they make and the shadows of the beasts that they ride on um were enough to drive men insane with fear,
Yep.
and they
Oh
would
yeah.
flee in terror from their shriek and just from being under the shadow of them. And that right there, trailer shot,
Yeah.
just another one of those images. There's just certain images in these movies that are um so well known. Again, I hesitate to use the word iconic because it's so overused these days. But you see it and you go, "Oh, the Lord of the Rings and the epicness of the scale." In the next one, we're gonna have that with the ride of Faramir, or Gandalf going to get save Faramir, and
Yeah.
he's got the light and taking on the Nazgul and stuff like that. So good.
The blocking of this shot. I mean, this shot back and forth of just between the two of them and Frodo, looking up the sword at him. And again,
Hmm.
this is where I'll say like Elijah Wood using his the best assets he has as an actor, which is his face, and he does a good job of just you're watching that because they cut to him 3 or 4 times there, and each time he's like going like along an emotional path, on his face, just as he's like
Yeah.
angry and not quite like slowly realizing what happened and like what he's doing. It's a fantastic sequence the way they did it, of just like the emotional journey he goes on without saying a word right there.
Hmm. He's got them crazy eyes.
Yes, he does.
But Elijah Wood is the weakest actor, but his physical performance is so strong
Yeah,
that you don't really care. If the movies were worse, it's something that you'd pick on. So Elijah Wood was real, like some of his lines were really forced and overacting here. It's like, but no, the rest of the movie is so good that it doesn't matter
yeah,
because he's able to emote so strongly that it makes you feel things, even if his dialogue delivery isn't exactly top notch,
yeah. No, they
especially
it
surrounded by others who do.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think that it also helps, where they do a lot of Sam's speech, against the other events. I think if they had tried to have the entire speech where it was just on his face, it wouldn't have worked nearly as well.
No, not at all. I would have. Yeah, but I like that
Sam,
he's hearkening back to the power of storytelling.
well, and this is on the nose because this is, we're talking about story in an epic story, but Sam is also the right character to do this because Sam is, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way. He's the most naive character. But he has that like pure heart of just he believes these principles on face value more than almost anybody else. I mean, and especially
Mhm.
in the book, he's even more like that than they show him here in the films, where he just loves this. He is like the nerdiest character in the book, as far as just his love of elves and stories and songs and just wants to believe
Mhm.
the best about all of this. And so it does work.
Yeah, and I don't even know what more to say on it because it's true.
Yeah.
Um, Sean Astin also just has this genuineness, this earnestness that he's so good at. Did you ever see Encino Man?
No.
Um, he he plays this just kind of idiot nerd guy who finds a caveman played by Brendan Fraser frozen in his backyard, and he thaws him out and he tries to get him to
Okay.
go to school with him and hijinks. And
Okay.
he's
Uh,
so earnest in that also, and it's just what he's good at.
yeah.
And same thing in Stranger Things season 2. One of the reasons why when he died at the end, all these people were like super bummed out because he was just such a lovable, likable character. And this is also out of the book.
Yep.
The Ents intercepted the last of Saruman's army and just squished him.
Yep. They're just there, taken care of.
Like,
This is
you guys don't worry about this. We got this.
yeah. You do not want to go into that forest.
It weirdly felt like a scene out of something like The Mummy to me. I don't know why, but I think of The Mummy at this scene. I think it's the sound effects because they use some of the same sound effects as the Pygmy mummies in The Mummy Returns.
It was a little
But
bit, yeah.
yeah, it feels like that type of storyline um,
Man,
thing.
I like that they get you get a tiny bit here of just the like after a battle of this level, the cleanup would be horrendous.
Right?
Where he's just like, we got all this crap we got to clean up now, all these
42.
bodies.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like the eared Elvis Prince, like because that's one of the things they don't talk about a lot in here is that
yeah,
Legolas is a
Legolas is a
prince.
prince. Yep, his dad's
Hmm.
the elf king from the Hobbit in Mirkwood.
Yeah, Lee Pace, and God, I love Lee Pace.
It'd be interesting. I mean, we're
Embedded as part of a system.
if anybody's curious, we're not going to be doing the Hobbit films anytime soon, but we will get to them at some point. And
Ugh,
there's definitely things to talk about there.
yeah, there is things to talk about. They are at once a combination of incredibly remarkable effort and really good actors, but it's the sum of its parts. Like the individual parts are better than the whole,
Yes, absolutely.
and
And
that
the rough
really,
parts are really
really
rough.
sucks. Oh my
This
God.
I love that
Yeah.
they, just this little moment here because I mean again straight out of the book that Sauron had like his stores, he actually loved to smoke also, so he
Mhm.
literally had supplies of like the best pipe weed and all this
And
other
this
stuff
is
here.
not marijuana. Like he grabs that chicken like he's gonna eat that chicken. It's been floating in the freaking water. Like, are you? I
Oh,
mean,
it's
he
nasty.
would be pretty desperate, mind you.
Yeah,
But I just, I love it. I
it's
love it.
good.
Like this South farthing. I don't believe it.
Oh, it
It
is.
has long bottom leaf. Yeah, just I've known some stoners in my time, and I gotta say this does remind me of them a little bit.
True. I love where they cut here to where Truebird comes up and it's just the smoke wafted out of the wall. Just like,
Yeah,
oh, it's good.
I just like dead plant and all that. I don't think you'd understand.
Being
Um,
distant relative. Oh gosh.
I never understood the nose touching thing. That's something that's popped up in movies and film my whole life. I don't understand it.
I think it's just one of those just really old. Okay, the one thing I will say here is the smoke effect is a little
Mhm.
odd.
Yeah.
It just seems a little
The,
CG right there all of a sudden.
yeah. I do like Treebeard being kind of curious as to what's going on.
Yeah, what are you guys doing in there?
It's just a funny little scene, you know.
Yeah,
Though it feels teeny tiny bit out of place, maybe, with the rest of what's going on here. I don't know.
I do like this the little moment here. You're showing equality, but the moment here where he realizes, like, wait a minute, you're taking them where, and just like Faramir being like, excuse me.
Uh, Sir, are you sure that's a good idea there?
But I like that basically saying like, no, this is where we have to go. Like we understand this is not a safe path, but and the little creeping away. So right there, Gollum absolutely reminds me of my dog when she's in trouble. There's the exact same look of like, I gotta get out of here because hope they don't notice me. It's just it was
Yeah.
a very dog like moment for Gollum.
Yeah. On the road. I'm just gonna quote this whole thing now because I such a long movie. I love it so much, but once you get to this point, it's hard to keep talking about it because you're
Well,
just kind of tired.
well, and we're just like this is just wrap up at this point. I mean, we have
Hmm.
like at this point, all that's left for the movie to do is kind of set up the next one, which is we've got all right, we've got to have Gollum kind of make his his little moment to decide. No, this scene just
Mm.
like you got a little neck.
Yeah, this is the creation of the story threads for the next couple of movies.
Yeah,
All right,
'cause you
they've
have
shown
this.
Sarum. The next couple of movies, next movie.
Yeah,
Especially this, but like
hmm
they've shown Saruman is pent up in his tower.
hmm
So what's gonna go on with him? They're showing
and
that
then here
there's a danger that they're heading towards. Um,
this little moment again with Sam and it's just like it's that last little gasp of like could there be hope? Not really, unfortunately. Like
yeah.
this, I think you needed this last little moment where Sam was nice to Gollum, because then when
Mm,
Gollum does turn, you don't you're not wondering did they basically you're not sympathizing with Gollum's turn to like to try to take them down, because the last interaction you just had there was actually Sam being nice to him. You
mm.
know what I mean? Like I think that
This
I think
movie
you
is
needed that
actually where
moment.
I learned the word retribution.
Mm. Okay, what is up with like the weird lighting on Legolas right there for a second? It just looked very like, you know what I mean? There's like this like weird softness to this like the characters in
Yeah,
this scene. It's odd.
no, I agree.
It looks weird. Like there's like a filter thrown on the whole thing all for a second there.
I have no idea, but I noticed the same thing. Is that there's a ethereal patina that kind of gets a little bit overdone in these movies and certain scenes, especially when it comes to the elves. Um,
I just thought of something, which is
mm,
when they're talking about like stories. Like I wonder if anybody's so it's in the books. Bilbo very much is like Frodo, like take notes because I'm going to write this story, or you should write this story when you get back. Like that's actually
mhm,
part of the books. That the idea that you want to record this because you want to write this stuff down. You want the story when you're all done. So if they had set that up in the movies, you actually would have had this tie more to the fact that like Frodo knows that Bilbo is expecting to write all this down when he gets back.
that's true. And but there is also, I believe it's in the books too, is that there is this moment where they're essential where Frodo does kind of tell him that he would want the book to be more about Sam, because
Mhm.
Sam is very much a background character until he's not. And then suddenly he's so much more important. And again, even Tolkien was like the hero of the story is Samwise Gamgee,
Yeah,
and he's great. I love
scary
Sam
little.
so much.
Oh yeah, no, he is
He's such
great.
a great character.
Oh, this is an
Andy Serkis, dude.
interesting. Yeah, an interesting moment. I think here it's it's like kind of the closest they can come with for like almost like a TV level cliffhanger here.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have all this dialogue where you really like you kind of see him come to the decision internally, like okay, we're gonna and then obviously we're teasing Shelob here. She could do it, but then it's like, all right, come on, and then we like pan up, and that's the end of the movie, and it really is like it's almost like a season finale cliffhanger style ending.
Oh yeah, I kind of love it for that though. Um, her do it. Also, like, because there's not many hers that have been introduced in the movie so far, so this feels like a momentous piece of information. Who is her? Who is she? What is she doing? Like, for those who don't know what's coming, this is intriguing and scary. And then for those who do know what's coming, it's still scary.
Oh yeah, because
And
you're anticipating something that is yeah,
horrifying.
and there we go.
Um,
It's the pan up and
it is such an odd place to end it, to be honest. Like, I
oh yeah.
expected a little bit more of a dramatic ending sequence. I think that there's a version of this movie where the ending was actually
Well,
them
that
up on
that
the
is a good
hills.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
like the
that's the
Nazgul
Mordor
and
shot.
Mount Doom and Eridor. It's like that's a good
Mm,
shot. Like I want that poster.
yeah, no PowerPoint. Um, for those of you who don't know, the reveal of Mordor in the Rings of Power TV show is um, often compared to
Oh my gosh.
the fade or the text insert effect found in Microsoft PowerPoint.
Well,
Um,
okay, it's basically right where like the ash goes in and it like the subtitle at the bottom of the screen like changes, right? It changes from whatever they were calling it to Mordor now or
yeah, the
whatever.
top of it. Yeah,
It's so
they
bad.
transform the text. It was
It's
not
so
good directing.
bad. My gosh. Okay,
This
yeah,
song here at the end was originally going to be done by Bjork. They really wanted Bjork to do it, but she was pregnant,
huh.
and she was like, "I'm not doing that." And it was done by kind of just a unknown at the time.
No, no. I have a one of my work playlists is my Lord of the Rings playlist. I mean, I would just have the three complete recording albums just all stacked up, but that's a lot of music, and so
Yeah.
I have select tracks, but I mean, in the about 10 or so tracks that I have are the end credit sequences for all three films of the song transitioning into kind of the overture style end credit music because they're all really
I, you
good.
know, that's something that the Hobbit did well was its end songs, especially
Yeah,
bringing back the Pippin actor singing
yeah, Dominic.
very similar to the lament from the third one.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No,
that
Billy
concludes
Dominic.
The
Why?
Lord of
It's
the
not
Rings:
Dominic.
The Two Towers Extended Edition.
Pippin is Billy Boyd. I'm sorry, everybody there who's screaming out there.
Billy Boyd.
Yes, it's Dominic. Whatever it is Mary
Monaghan. No,
Monahan.
Dominic Monaghan. Is it
Yeah,
Dominic Monaghan?
I think that's right. Yeah,
Okay.
he's Mary.
Yeah. For some reason, I was thinking about another Monaghan.
Well, there's
The
more than
Ginger
one in
Jedi.
Hollywood.
Um, there's a video game series, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor. The main actor in that's last name is Monaghan, and I absolutely love that actor. And he would make a great Hobbit, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But he also played the Joker on Gotham. Cameron Monaghan, that's his name. Anyway, this concludes The Two Towers. Any final thoughts, Brian, before we jump on into The Return of the King?
I think it's interesting is and that you've said that this is your favorite, and I don't blame you at all for that. I think that the Two Towers has probably my favorite moments in it because I'm with you. Helm's Deep is like the films never get better than Helm's Deep. I
Mm-hmm.
think I still as a film I just like The Fellowship better than this, but this has moments in it that are the best moments the movies have in it. So it's an interesting
Yeah.
kind of mixture, and it's just a fantastic middle chapter because you just want to know what's going to happen, and there's it's a good example of how you take the hardest to adapt part of Tolkien's work and turn it into a movie. Again, anybody who criticizes it, I'd be like, okay, so the next thing you're going to do if you're going to criticize the adaptation is to go to adapt it yourself, and have fun with that, because I wouldn't even want to try.
Yeah.
It'd be a challenge, and I think that Peter Jackson and team did a great job of keeping the spirit of it alive, keeping the main characters. They didn't change. One of the big things a lot of adaptations that I don't like, or even not even adaptations, but a lot of times just like a redo of a beloved character or story, is when they change the characters themselves. And that's one of the reasons why this adaptation works for me, is that they don't, as much as they add to Aragorn, they don't change him in any way that diminishes the character that Tolkien wrote. He still ends up in the same place, and then in a lot of ways, him ending up in the same place, through the additional kind of layers they give him, makes it even more poignant than it does when he was just always there. So and that's true of all the characters. The Legolas and Gimli stuff, I think, is at its peak in this film. The little bits of humor are fantastic. And yeah, just going back to Helm's Deep, I would just say it one more time. It's amazing. So that's my conclusion.
Yeah.
And
I agree. I think that you're.
Let me say one more thing. I'm sorry. The idea of storytelling being super important goes all the way back to listen to the why we did this podcast, why we are so passionate about this. That story does matter, and that's, I think, why, as cheesy as it is, I love Sam's little speech, because I believe it. I think that stories do matter. I think that stories have a tremendous power to inspire and to uplift people and to motivate people and to teach people things and to just carry on things. It just, stories have, it's if all it is entertainment, then you're really selling it short. And when you create a story and all you care about is making it entertaining, then you're selling yourself short. A story has so much more power than that. So I actually, what Sam is saying there, I think actually speaks to why I care about this stuff myself. And so it's one of the reasons why, as cheesy as it is, I love it. So that's my final thought.
No, I very much agree. And I think that you are quite right about the fact that this one has just such good moments, but the first one, I don't know, they're all good in their own separate ways. I think that the issue that I have primarily with the third one is that it gets so big and grandiose and kind of like self-important in so many scenes. But it's like supposed to be. It's a big epic fantasy, so I can't fault it for that. I'm just not always entertained through the third one.
Are you not entertained?
The Two Towers just has a lot of my favorite humor and a lot of my favorite moments. With like the epicness of Helm's Deep mixed with kind of the humor of Legolas and Gimli, as well as just the cool kind of out there action of the Ents attacking Isengard.
That is a great sequence.
And it's just like, I love the sword fighting and orcs versus the Fellowship in the first one and the Balrog and everything. It's great. And then in the third one, you have like Shelob's Lair and the Battle of the Pelennor Fields, and they all have their amazing things to them. But Two Towers in and of itself is more my speed.
Yeah.
However, we will get more into the Return of the King next week.
We're going to have 4.5 hours to talk about it. If anybody's curious, that will definitely also be a two-parter. We are not going to release a 5-hour podcast. But I'm looking forward to it, man. We're gonna wrap this thing up beginning next week.
All right. See you guys then. Thanks for listening.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
There's doors and corners, kid. If you don't clear the room, if you don't come in slow.